Okay, my name is Travis Dalton Sawbray. I'm 30 years old. I just transferred out of Nassau Community College, my 2 years, and I'm actually going to be at Fordham University in January. So I'm really, really happy for that. I come from Long Island, New York. I just moved to Manhattan this past June to finish up at Fordham, and I have dyscalculia. I have ADD, ADHD, and dyslexia. Teachers always, thought that I wasn't motivated just because I wasn't paying attention to a subject. The thing it was opposite. I was motivated on too many things at the same time, too many assignments on the same time to be able to just calm down, not worry about all the other assignments that needed to be done, and concentrate on just one singular topic that needed to be done. An example of that is that this goes to my first informal diagnosis with ADD, is that we had a science fair when I was in the first grade, and it was going to be a class group effort. We're all going to get together on that Friday. It was assigned on a Monday. We were going to get together on that Friday, and we were all going to have a big science fair, and we were all going to walk around. So I was really, really excited to be in the science fair, to participate in it, brainstorming the ideas. I was so motivated to do it that I was just telling everybody else about it and telling my friends and drawing make-believe projects and doing this, that, and third, that I forgot to tell the two people who I needed to tell about the project, which were my parents, because they were the ones who were going to help me with it. So it followed through all the way until Friday. Friday morning, I woke up and I was in tears. I told my mom I don't want to go to school today. I don't feel well. And she said, "Why don't you feel well?" And she asked me. I told her about the science fair, and I told her how it made me feel. It made me feel like a little dime. I felt like I was worth about 10 cents. So my mom, she just wiped the tears off, and she said, "All right, we're going to go to school, and we're going to figure this out." When we got to school, she begged and pleaded with my teacher, Mrs. Miro, "Please just give him to the weekend. Can he do it Monday? Is that all right?" And she said, "Okay," and she let me do it Monday. And that Monday came, I was excited to get the project and show everyone this original idea that I had. I was embarrassed because I didn't do it Friday. I was doing it Monday. And I went up there and I got an A on the project. And it was awesome. All my peers were applauding me, and I was just reveling in the spotlight. They say that when you get an A, you want to keep like chasing after them and going after them, which you should always do. But for me, the type of learner I was, is that was my A. I earned it. I was fine with it. I didn't need another one. I didn't need to prove it to myself or anyone else. That was my A, and it began like this vicious cycle of just September would come the next year and it would be a clean slate, and then May would come and it would be this frantic dash to kind of like clean up everything and get all the assignments in on one time. So for motivation, it's not that I wasn't motivated. It's just that I really was motivated on too many things at the same time. And I never really had like a teacher calm me down and say, "Okay, let's just concentrate on one item. Let's just concentrate on this first before we go on to the next." So the motivation was there. It's just that I was this way. I was using it for too many things at the same time rather than just one. I wasn't diagnosed until I failed the ninth grade. That was kind of like the turning point. So I failed the ninth grade, and when I failed the ninth grade, I had to do the entire ninth grade in summer school. But it was at summer school was where we figured it out, because I was in a smaller classroom and I had more time and I started getting better grades, and I think that's when the light bulb clicked for a lot of people, including myself. So I went to a small high school going into the 10th grade, and at this point I was formally diagnosed. I had an IEP. I was allowed my accommodations, so we finally like the mystery was solved at this point. We knew what was going on. And at the new school that I was going to in the 10th grade, we had a resource room, and it was my resource room teacher, Mrs. O'Connor. She was the first real advocate for me, like the real advocate for me in school. She was the toughest Irish woman that you would ever meet in your life. She saw a million students like me beforehand and a million students like me afterwards too. She pushed me to a point that I'd never been pushed before. To the point that in the 10th and the 11th grades, I was getting A's. I was in the honor society, and she pushed me to no end. That when I graduated high school and when I walked across, it was equally not only just my success, but her success as well. And and that's how it translated. So Ms. O'Connor, she paved the way and she set the bar for the other professors and allies and administrative people that I've had who've helped me down the road, is that she set the model for it. We knew that math, for example, was a weak point for me. That's where my LD lied, was just calcula, and really the reading and writing wasn't that big of a problem. So Mrs. O really focused on math for me, and she worked with me one-on-one, day in and day out, and she always made sure that I was comfortable with a topic before going on to the next one, because in the math classes it was all connected. So while the rest of the class would be on chapter 5, I would still be struggling with chapter 2. So she wanted to make sure that during the extra help and during the extra hours that I was comfortable with chapter 2 and comfortable with material that I wasn't strong in before going on to the next. So that was one way that we did it. Another way that helped out was just having the quiet place take the test. I still need it now to this day. I get really distracted by every other, just the outside world and everything else. It's just, my brain is just tuned that way. So having that quiet place, just my own little room to be able to organize my thoughts, organize what I need to do, the assignments that I need to complete, even for work as well, and just having that quiet moment to do that helps me just do it better and more efficiently, and having the extra time to do that as well. Because during the classroom times when before I was in the new school, it was like, the teacher would call, we have 15 minutes left to finish the essay, or 15 minutes left to finish the assignments. And I would panic because I just wanted to finish. It wasn't about retaining the knowledge or thinking about what the question was asking you. It was more about, oh my God, I have 15 more minutes left. I just need to finish this assignment and just hand it in. It doesn't matter what I wrote down on the paper, or it doesn't matter what the work was. As long as I finished it, I would hand it in, and that would be fine. That changed with Mrs. O. She created an environment where I was able to have the extra time and just have that extra 15 minutes to make sure that I was doing it right and getting it done on time. So you think back to September and when you were in school, and it's like a clean slate, like I said before, and you get a new shirt, and you're in the new grade, and it's really exciting. But then somewhere along the lines, and I don't know, for me, it was usually like after the PTA meeting when my parents would sit down with the teachers and they'd go over, what the teachers thought or how the teachers say that the kids are doing. At that point, there needs to be that really that parent-teacher, I guess, relationship. They need to bridge that gap. That's what worked with Mrs. O'Connor and I and my mom, is that they were always in communication with each other. If my mom knew something, if there was some new development or something, Miss O'Connor knew it that morning. If something happened in school, Miss O'Connor let my mom know about it. So there was that bridge right there. You need more than just, a half-hour PTA meeting at the beginning of the school year in order for a teacher to properly judge what's going on with a student. You need that more time. I think it's definitely, there should be more of just bridging the gap between teachers and parents. I mean, it's two entities that really influence that can really influence a child for either good or bad. And if if parents and teachers are on the same page, the only thing it could be is beneficial for the child. It was definitely a trial and error, because we didn't really know up until the 9th grade. It's unfortunate. I mean, just for me, that I had to fail the 9th grade in order to figure that out. That I was in a smaller classroom. That I thrived better actually in a smaller classroom, in a quiet place, and having extra time for my accommodations. That trial and error, I had to slip in order to figure that out. But when I went into the new school, and even up until Nassau in college, when I started college, I was under the guides that I couldn't have accommodations, I couldn't have extra time, I couldn't have a quiet place to take the test, and it turned out I was wrong, is that you still can have those accommodations in college. So it was going to the Center of Students, the CSD office, the Center for Students with Disabilities, and dropping off the papers and allowing myself to have that time and expressing my rights that I need for those accommodations. So it was definitely me speaking out, but I had to have that bump in the road in order to figure it out, unfortunately. So definitely finding out what those child's needs might be in a classroom. Unfortunately, you know, even with on the college level, there are teachers who don't really teach to individuals. They just kind of teach to the curriculum, to the classroom. And the classroom is, they teach it as a whole. But no one looks the same. No one has the same, you know, not everyone in the classroom is going to look the same. Everyone's, you know, a different race, different religion. Everyone is different, and everyone learns differently as well. So if one student's struggling in the classroom where the whole class may be able to learn this one way that the teacher is teaching, it would be beneficial for the teacher to find out what that student might need in order to be a better student and to be more motivated really for the assignments in the curriculum. If the teacher feels that that student needs extra time, just 15 extra minutes just to finish assignments, then by all means fight for that kid to have that extra time. Or if it's a quiet place to take the test or a quiet place to take the assignment, fight for that kid to have that. Go up and ask them and say, look, this one child is studying, is struggling in my classroom. I think he may benefit in a different environment. Seek out that environment and go for it. Definitely.